Now, let me tell you something about this guy. A lot of speakers of the House sit in Jackson, and they expect that the world will come to them. But Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, has just been around the state on the second tour that he's done since he's been in the House of Representatives, and it's a listening tour. It's an opportunity for people in Mississippi to come forward and share their thoughts with the Speaker. That's why listening today to him is very, very important. So while you want to hobnob, we want to be sure to be very respectful of our Speaker and hear from him. He earned his degree from Baylor University and a JD from the University of Mississippi Law School, where he was elected student body president. He's an attorney at Wells, Marble, and Hurst in Ridgeland, specializing in both insurance defense and civil litigation. He was named one of Mississippi's top 50 attorneys by the Mississippi Business Journal and Leadership in Law class of 2010. Now, he's actively involved in the community. He's been a passionate supporter of education. This past legislative session, many of the education initiatives that happened were as a result of his leadership. And ladies and gentlemen, we would not have the workers' comp reform we have in Mississippi had it not been for this Speaker. Let's give him a round of applause for workers' comp reform that made a huge difference in making Mississippi more competitive. He's a member of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, a trustee of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, a great leader, a great and passionate supporter for Mississippi's future. Please join me in welcoming the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Philip Gunn.
You know, this year marks the midway point of our first term as Republicans in control of the House of Representatives. We, in the first 2 years, I believe, have accomplished a great deal. As I reflect upon the last two and I look towards the next two, I'm very optimistic and very encouraged by all the things that have happened. First 2 years, I believe, were very successful. If you recall, you look back to last year, we passed a lot of great legislation that had been bottled up for years. We passed the Child Protection Act. We passed the Attorney General Sunshine Act. We passed a very fair and honest redistricting plan. All those things are great. On top of that, we passed some very responsible, fiscally responsible spending legislation. We passed a budget that lives within our means. We did not spend and have not spent any more money than we've taken in. We have pushed money forward into next year. We have saved millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. We've reduced our dependency on one-time money. We've passed very pro-business legislation like the inventory tax bill. We've passed other bills that provide tax incentives for businesses to thrive and grow within this state. We've passed legislation that allows entrepreneurs to stay within this state, not go elsewhere. It rewards people for coming to this state and rewards our citizens who are industrious and who choose to start a business in this state. We've reduced the financial burden on Mississippians so that they can create economic prosperity for themselves. All those happened in the first year. Governor Bryant called last year the most business-friendly legislative session in Mississippi history. This most recent session in 2013, we focused on education reform. We passed much of the reform came from the MEC blueprint plan that we took a lot of ideas from. We passed a charter school bill. We passed a third grade reading gate bill. We're moving toward making sure that every child in this state has an educational opportunity, a quality educational opportunity. These are the things that we feel are very important for us. If we're going to move Mississippi forward economically and make sure we are prosperous as a state, we not only have to help create an environment friendly to business, but we've got to provide educational opportunities for our children. All of these are things that we've done in the first 2 years. We are bringing a responsible approach to government by improving our educational attainment level and making sure that Mississippi is economically sound and that we're spending our dollars in an economically prosperous way. All this has happened because of the current leadership you have in the legislature. You've got a governor who understands business, who is pro-business. You've got a lieutenant governor in Tate Reeves, who is a great partner. I enjoy working with him greatly. You have a responsible Senate and a responsible House. and we've accomplished a whole lot in the first 2 years. We're providing an opportunity for all Mississippians to improve their quality of life. And none of this would have been possible without the strong team of leaders that we have with Governor Bryant and Lieutenant Governor Reeves, as well as good leaders in the House and good leaders in the Senate. I applaud the team of legislators that we have. You people need to understand the sacrifices that these guys make. Many of them move here for 3 months, leave their wives and their children at home. I'm one of the fortunate ones. I get to stay here. I live nearby. But so many of these guys make great sacrifices, taking time away from their jobs and their families to come here and push forward these types of legislation that I think is going to make Mississippi a better place to live. Now, looking forward, on the next 2 years, I think it's a new day in our state. Mississippi's future is bright because of these policies that we're enacting, because of the mindset that we're bringing to governing. Our future is very bright. I don't think we're going to see our state remain consistently on the bottom. That should be our goal. We should be moving up. We do enjoy a great quality of life here, but we need to pass that message along to businesses. We need to attract businesses to come to Mississippi. We need to get them to understand we have a great quality of life to offer here, but we also have economic advantages that you need to take advantage of. This is the mindset that your legislature and your leadership team is bringing to the table. We need to give incentives for these companies to move to Mississippi. We need to give incentives for our citizens to create jobs and industry. Our most valuable resource is our people, and we need to know, they need to know that they can operate in this state without the burdensome regulations and burdensome taxes. They need to know that there's stability here and that they can continue to call Mississippi their home. It's a new day in the House of Representatives, and we're moving forward and moving toward economic prosperity in this state. We have brought an approach to governing that doesn't involve emotion but involves facts. It involves sound reasoning. We are governing based on a solid conservative philosophy, not the politics of the day. Looking forward, we're going to continue to be good stewards of your taxpayer dollars. I like to bring an approach to spending that is more like investing. We don't need to look at the use of taxpayer dollars as a cost. We need to look at it as an investment. And as we spend taxpayer dollars, we need to ask ourselves, are we getting a return on this investment? If we put money into this program, what is it going to produce that's good for the state of Mississippi? And so we need to ask ourselves as we go down this road, if a program is working and we're getting a good return, we need to put dollars there. If it's not working, we need to redirect those dollars. And we're going to take a long, hard look at that. We're looking at a performance-based budgeting approach that will cause us to examine our expenditures, just like you examine your expenditures in your own home. We need to know what works, and we need to put money there. And those things that don't, we need to shut down. This obviously is not an overnight process. It's going to take a lot of long, hard work. It's going to take several years possibly to correct this, but we're dedicated to seeing it through to the end. An integral part of that approach is the leadership. And I will tell you that we have two of the best appropriation chairmen that I think this state has ever seen. We have Senator Buck Clark in the Senate and Representative Herb Frierson in the House. And I will tell you, most of my experiences with Representative Frierson, I will tell you that he is possibly the best appropriations chairman I have ever been exposed to. He understands it. He is conservative. He is implementing all of these policies that we're talking about, and under his leadership, we're going to make sure that we're economically prosperous in Mississippi. Workforce development continues to be a top priority for us. In fact, that's why I'm leaving. That's why I'm having to speak early this morning, is because I'm going to East Mississippi Community College to give a talk on workforce development. We've got to lead our people to understand that there are solid jobs out there in Mississippi that they can have. I was talking to one of our business leaders not long ago, and he was telling me how many job openings he has. It was over 1,000. And he said, we can't find people qualified enough to work in those jobs. So there are opportunities there that are there. There are opportunities that exist. We've got to train our people to go and get those jobs. And we got to attract people from other states to come and train them so that they can have those jobs. That's the way we're going to become economically prosperous. So we're going to continue to make economic development, workforce development, a top priority in our legislative agenda in the years to come. We're working to create an environment where all that can happen. As I said earlier, we're 2 years into this term. We have many more years to go. We are going to make the next 2 years just as prosperous and beneficial as the last two. And then we're going to continue to work even after that in the next term to make sure that Mississippi continues to be economically prosperous. Thank you so much for letting me be here with you today. I'm sorry I've got to slip away. I will be here for a few minutes. Hope to see many of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
When we were speaking with her right here on this floor Monday, it was obvious that the vision that she has for Mississippi is great because she recognizes our potential. When moving the meeting here from the Ag Museum, it was an opportunity to again showcase the facilities that we have around the state that will really bring people together and put us in a positive light. And she is really doing the things to help us promote our state. She's long been a champion of agriculture, both in the Senate and now as commissioner, but more importantly, she is a champion for our state. Please welcome Commissioner Cindy Hyde-Smith.
I do welcome you to your Mississippi Coliseum, and you're in the safest building in Mississippi. This is the #1 shelter in the state for during storms, so hopefully we won't have that, but if we do, you're in a safe facility. I want to thank you for coming to HobNob because this is one of my favorite days of the year that you do. You get to see everybody. They come out in a wonderful event, and thank you for putting that on Mississippi Economic Council. Just want to talk a little bit about what goes on down here because I really am thrilled you're here. When he called and said we may need to change locations from the Ag Museum to here, I said I'm happy because I get your rental fee either way. So either way is good with me, but I am glad we're here out of the elements of the weather today. We just finished up with the state fair. And you know, we live in a state that has 2.8 million people. 706,588 of them, 706,588 came to the fair. That is unbelievable in a state of 2.8 million people. My personal goal was 700,000, and they said, Cindy, we've been doing this 153 years. We've never had 700,000. But let me tell you a few ways that we made that happen. First of all, I prayed really hard. I said, God, you've got to give me a deal on this weather in the next few days. That happened. We did a lot of things with social media. For the first time in U.S. history, for the Mississippi State Fair or any other fair in the country, we had a mobile app that was Apple and Android. It had every event on there. It even had a car finder. If you got out of your car and dropped the pin there, you could, if you got turned around on the rides, you could find your way back to your car. It had the weather events, it had the schedule events. A really good thing, and it really tells me that social media can improve your events. On these fairgrounds, we're on about 105 acres right here. We have 579 events down here. 579. In this building alone, we have 146 events. And some of those events are more than one day. So it goes on to more calendar days, but 146 events just in this building. They asked me this morning, they said, what is your earliest memories of this building? And I remember sitting in here watching Elvis Presley. The stage was set up right down here performing this building. And my mother thought it was important that she bring her children to see Elvis Presley. And I'm so glad she did. Dolly Parton, all the people that have come through this building. Not long ago, Elton John was set up in that very area right there too. The Coliseum and the Fairgrounds is a special funds agency. We get zero appropriations from the legislature. We have to live within our means. We have to make it work on the income that we generate ourselves. And this can be a crown jewel for Mississippi because the speaker was talking about not wanting to be on the bottom and investing in things that brings money to the state. I could not agree with him more. And we are looking at trying to do some renovations down here, and we've had so much fun just coming up with the plans of renovating. You know, I always say I have the best job in state government, but some of those things that we've done, we hired some experts to come in here. And you're familiar with Jerry Jones that owns the Cowboys and the Steinbrenners, the big arena people. We hired their company to come in. We sat right down on this floor. We went through everything, and they told me how they think we can maximize and get the most benefit out of this building. We hired a company called Populous. They did all the major arenas in the state. They did all the arenas in the Olympics. They came to Jackson, Mississippi, sat right down there with me, and we put a plan together. We hired architects, Wereburner Architects, that are a local firm. We have renderings, we have plans, because we don't like to just fly by the seat of our pants. We want to make sure we've got the experts getting the right plan, because we do want to be very good stewards of that tax dollar. And as you can look, this place was built in 1962, needs a little facelift. If you visit the restroom, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about, because when you have the dressing rooms back there and you bring in an Elton John, you think, oh, we can do better than this. So that is our challenge, is to make some improvements down here at the Coliseum, at the Ag Museum, everything that we're in charge of. But we were used as a model for state agencies that was the most efficient with your money, because that's what we're about, is getting the most for what we are given and benefiting it the most and maximizing it. We do have great staff down here. Thank you, Scott, for recognizing them. They've worked fast and furious to get this down here. And things in agriculture are going really well. Of course, we're in the cattle business. We run a stockyard. Tuesday's our sale day. We've had a sale there since 1942. I'm a real cowgirl. I did not buy the boots just for the campaign. We do it. That's what we live. And we're enjoying some good prices now. And we smile because we know it's not going to be that forever, and that's the reason you have to have those good management skills. Farmers have good management skills. This weekend at the farmers market, I just want to share a few things with you. We have a Thanksgiving at the farmers market. We have 3 chefs that are coming in from 3 different restaurants, Bravo's, Table 100, and Sophia's restaurant that's located in the Fairview Inn. They will be doing demonstrations, teaching you how to prepare your Thanksgiving meals. We will have all the fall harvest down there, your mustard, your turnip greens, your squash. We've got rutabagas, we've got the eggplants coming in. We even have lettuce coming in, and people there to show you how to make those meals, and they're only getting their ingredients from the farmers market. So a lot of good things coming in. We're expecting a big crowd. I invite you to that. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being supportive of agriculture in Mississippi, our #1 industry, a $7.3 billion industry. Thank you for making this state such a great state to live in, and I am truly honored to be your commissioner.
Our next speaker is Mississippi Insurance Commissioner Mike Chaney. He is serving in his 2nd term. Please welcome Commissioner Mike Chaney.
I want to talk to you about some issues that are on probably everybody's mind here in the Coliseum today, which I cannot spell, and that's health insurance. Most of us know that the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, has been a train wreck and a catastrophe since October 1, where people try to sign up. Yesterday, I got a call from the Clarion Ledger, and Clay Chandler wanted to know how many people had signed up in Mississippi that we knew of. The numbers that we looked at, and by the way, I'm about the only state that's given out numbers on a federally operated exchange, is between 120 and 140 people. Think about that. 31 days into the program, and we have between 120 and 140 people signed up. The problem that we have with this is we have Washington running our health care instead of states running the health care. It's a big issue for us. If you talk to employees around the state and employers, the biggest thing that they face is trying to have decent benefits for the employees to attract them to be in this state and work here. The Department of Insurance tries to address these issues as best we can with the few tools that we have in our box because we're truly hampered by the federal government. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do at the Department of Insurance. We bring in well over $200 million a year in tax revenue. We're in the top 5 for revenue in the state of Mississippi, and out of that revenue, we give monies back to the communities, cities, and counties for fire protection, which I'm going to talk about briefly. And the other thing that we do is that we try to manage a healthy insurance market for the whole state of Mississippi. We still have insurance issues on the Gulf Coast for homeowners, which we are addressing. I will leave here and go to a wind pool board meeting that's starting at 10 o'clock, where we will try to address some of the issues for what we should do on the Gulf Coast to keep insurance affordable there. One of the things that we do at the department is that we try to manage our money. I'm one of the 2 agencies that asked for less money next year when we went before the Legislative Budget Committee. I have 1 less employee than I had when I took over in 2008. So we've done a fairly good job in spite of the fact that we've been given more and more responsibilities. The National Flood Insurance Program is a flood program operated by the federal government, not by the state, through FEMA. Now, this program is in a lot of trouble. Let me give you an example. After Katrina in 2005, many people on the Gulf Coast rebuilt their homes to the new specs required by FEMA. When these homes were rebuilt in 2008, 9, and 10, these people did not know that they had to meet new base flood elevations that would begin in 2011 after the federal government had remapped the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and Louisiana. So October 1, which is 31 days ago, many of the people on the Gulf Coast got bills where they'd been paying $500 a year for flood insurance for $7,000, in some cases $14,000. I want you to listen to that, $500 a year to $14,000 a year. We've been pretty proactive in trying to solve this problem. The Department of Insurance, after a lot of consultation with the Attorney General, who's been very good with us trying to help us out, we were able to hire Ben Stone's firm, Bosch and Bingham on the Gulf Coast, who will represent us in federal courts as soon as we can get a court date. We had a date of the 28th of October. Unfortunately, that date was changed because the government shut down and, all the other issues. So the federal judge has now ruled that we'd have a new court date. We still don't know when that date would be. But our goal was not to do away with the flood program. Our goal was to bring common sense into the program and have affordable rates that were actuarially sound, where homeowners would know what they were facing 5 years from now. The flood program had been renewed 14 times in 30 months. This time we got, under the Biggert Waters Acts of 2012, better known as BW12, we got a 60-month program, but nobody read the fine print, similar to what happened with the Affordable Care Act. And we had some issues with the feds just not doing the studies that were required before they instituted the rates. Our goal in the suit is to prevent the rates from going into effect and to give Congress time to address the problem. And to that end, I'm proud to say that Senator Thad Cochran in the Senate has sponsored a bill to prohibit the increase of the rates until the studies have done, along with Mary Landry out of Louisiana and 18 other senators. In the House, Stephen Palazzo, along with other senators, has sponsored a bill to do the same thing. It's a great program, and I appreciate people like Greg Harper, Stephen Palazzo, and Senator Thad Cochran and Senator Wicker. We have some other things. The good thing about my job and the best thing about it is I'm also the state fire marshal, so I wear another hat. I want to tell something on Jack Reed. Where is he? I know he's here, but I'm thinking about Pete Pica, and I thought I'd try to lighten you up a little bit. Back years ago, Jack's father said that they got a survey from the Employment Security Commission or someone and asked about all the employees that they had, and they had several thousand working in Lee County and the other areas. And Jack said when he started to fill in the form out, they got down to the word number of employees broken down by sex. And he wrote on the form, sex is not our problem, alcohol is. Sometimes you don't know what the federal government's asking you to do. When we look at the programs that we have with the National Fire Insurance people that we work with, we have been able to reduce fire deaths in this state 36% since 2009. And the way we have done that is we have received almost $2 million in grants from private industry and the federal government to put into fire prevention. Mississippi ranked #1 in fire deaths per capita in 2008. Today, we're in the mid part of the pack. because we've reduced fire deaths. And how we did it was very simple. We put smoke alarms and fire alarms out through the 13,000 plus volunteer firemen and the 3,500 professional firemen that we have in the state, and we've been able to reduce fire deaths in this state 36%. To show you a little bit about what we do, I want to show you our newest member of our team. This is a dog named Fida. Bring Fida up here. While I'm talking a little bit about Fida, Fida's a Belgian Malinois. She is going to look for a fire accelerant up here on the stage in one of these 4 cans. And she doesn't speak English yet. She still speaks Belgian. So I'm going to tell you that one of the cans has a crease in it. And the reason we put a crease in it, we don't want her to put her mouth down into the can and grab the accelerant that's in there on the cotton ball. So you watch this dog walk these 4 cans up here and see if she can find the accelerant. Besides Fida, go ahead, Kevin. Our handler is Kevin Martin. Look at this. Watch it. Look, there she goes. Where is she? Watch. Let's see what she does. Watch her. She's found it. Look at her. Look at her. So this is what we do. This is give this dog a round of applause. I want to tell you that I truly love my job as insurance commissioner. It's very tasking sometimes. It's very stressful in a lot of situations, but I enjoy getting up, going to work in the morning. I do it because I think I'll make a difference in the quality of life for people in Mississippi. I'm not trying to move up the ladder politically. I want to make that very clear to you. I'm just trying to be a good insurance commissioner and a good fire marshal. I appreciate everyone that helped put this on in the Coliseum today. And for Sydney Hyde-Smith, I will just simply say I think she took a .22 rifle and shot holes in the roof, because we definitely need a new roof on this building, and I'm politicking to all my legislative friends to help her out. Thank you for letting me be your insurance commissioner. I've enjoyed being here this morning.
What is the latest on flood insurance that would affect thousands of people in Mississippi?
Well, the department filed suit against the federal government for instituting the rates without the proper actuarial science being done and the studies that needed to be done. And at this point, we were hoping that we could delay the rate increases until Congress could act, and we do have a bill in the Senate and one in the House that will address these rate increases and hopefully bring some common sense to what the federal government's trying to do.
I think the big thing is that Mississippi is now moving into the top 10 in many econometric model measurements. This is a state that's on the move, and people have to start having a Texas-style attitude about Mississippi.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
Go to our website, mec.ms, www.mec.ms.